I am Lila Grayson, and on that sultry Savannah evening, the Forsyth Manor glowed like a jewel under the Georgia sky, its chandeliers casting prisms of light across the ballroom. My heart thrummed with a sister's pride as I adjusted my emerald gown, chosen by my sister Hannah for her wedding day, a day I'd dreamed of sharing with her since we were girls playing dress-up in our mother's attic. But beneath the sparkle of crystal and the hum of laughter, a shadow stirred. My husband, Nathan, a man whose detective's instincts never dulled, leaned close as I touched up my lipstick, his voice low. "Lila, something's not right. Stay sharp tonight." His words, like a pebble in a still pond, rippled through my joy, though I brushed them aside. The manor's grandeur enveloped me as I stepped into the corridor, the scent of magnolias mingling with the promise of celebration. Hannah, my radiant sister, was to marry Caleb Thornton, a man whose charm had swept her off her feet in mere months. I'd seen her transform under his gaze, her laughter brighter, her spirit lighter, or so I thought. Our childhood had been a tapestry of rivalry, woven with love, but frayed by our father's uneven affection. He'd called me his steady star, while Hannah, the dazzling comet, craved his praise. His death 2 years prior had bound us closer, or so I believed, as we mourned side by side. Nathan, ever my anchor, waited in his tailored suit, his hazel eyes scanning the crowd with the vigilance I mistook for nerves. "You're a vision, Lila," he murmured, his hand warm on mine. Yet his earlier warning lingered, a discordant note in the symphony of the evening. I pushed it down, focusing on Hannah's joy, on the vows we'd soon witness. The chapel beckoned, its stained glass windows aglow with sunset hues. Guests murmured in anticipation, their faces alight with the magic of a southern wedding. I took my seat, Nathan beside me, and let the moment wash over me, unaware that this night, so steeped in love, would unravel into a labyrinth of betrayal. If you're as captivated by this tale as I am by its telling, subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest twists in our storytelling journey. Hit that bell, and let's uncover the truth together. The grand ballroom of the Forsyth Manor pulsed with life, its rose-adorned tables bathed in the flicker of candlelight. I sat beside Nathan, my emerald gown catching the glow, yet a chill had settled in my bones, though the Georgia night was warm. The newlyweds, Hannah and Caleb, had just entered to a thunderous ovation, her reception dress a cascade of silk, his smile a polished mask. Their speeches had ended, and the clink of champagne glasses echoed like a chorus of bells. Yet Hannah's words, her thanks to our mother, her fleeting nod to me, felt hollow, as if rehearsed for a stage. I caught her eye across the room, seeking the sisterly warmth we'd shared in our father's final days. But she turned away, her laughter too bright, her gaze too distant. Nathan's hand tightened on mine beneath the table. "Lila, I saw something in the kitchen," he whispered, his voice a blade cutting through the din. A waiter, lingering too long over a tray. Caleb was with him, gesturing sharply. My pulse quickened, but I shook my head, unwilling to let suspicion tarnish the night. "It's a wedding, Nathan. They're probably just ensuring everything's perfect." Yet doubt gnawed at me. I recalled a moment from the cocktail hour, when I'd slipped into the garden for air. Voices had drifted from the terrace. Caleb's low murmur, a waiter's clipped reply. "The plan's set," Caleb had said, the words half lost in the breeze. I'd dismissed it as talk of the menu, but now with Nathan's warning, it took on a sinister hue. The first course arrived, a delicate crab bisque, its aroma rich and inviting. I lifted my spoon, but Nathan's gaze darted to the waiter, a young man with a nervous tic. "Don't eat yet," he muttered, his eyes narrowing. I froze, the spoon hovering, as the waiter retreated too quickly, his tray clattering. Across the room, Caleb raised his glass, his smile unwavering, but his eyes locked on our table for a fraction too long. My heart stuttered. Hannah, beside him, laughed at a guest's jest, but her hand trembled on her flute. Was it nerves or something darker? I turned to Nathan, my voice barely a whisper. "What did you see exactly?" He leaned closer, his words measured. The waiter poured something into a single glass on that tray. "It wasn't champagne, Lila. It was meant for you." The room spun, the laughter and music fading to a dull roar. I wanted to protest, to cling to the image of Hannah as my sister, my confidant, but the memory of her avoidance, of Caleb's cold glance during the vows, tightened like a noose. Then, a crash from the kitchen, a tray hitting the floor. Guests turned, murmuring, but Nathan's grip on my arm was iron. "We're leaving," he said, his voice low and urgent. "Now." I rose, my legs unsteady, as he guided me toward the exit, the ballroom's warmth giving way to the cool night air. In that moment, I glimpsed Hannah watching us, her face a mask of calm, but her eyes, oh, her eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't name. Fear? Guilt? I turned away, my heart pounding, as Nathan pulled me into the shadows, the truth lurking just beyond my grasp. The Savannah night enveloped us as Nathan's car sped through the quiet streets, the Savannah Manor's lights fading in the rearview mirror. My hands trembled in my lap, the emerald gown now a stifling weight. The ballroom's warmth, Hannah's fleeting glance, those moments clung to me like damp fog, but Nathan's silence was heavier still, his knuckles white on the wheel. We pulled into a deserted lot near the river, the Savannah's dark waters glinting under streetlights. Nathan cut the engine, his breath uneven. "Lila," he began, his voice low. I didn't want to believe it myself, but I saw it clear as day. My throat tightened. "Saw what, Nathan? Tell me plainly." I searched his face, the face of the man who'd stood by me through grief and joy, his detective's eyes now clouded with dread. He turned to me, his words deliberate, each one a stone dropped into my heart. "That waiter didn't just tamper with your glass. Caleb gave him a vial, small, amber, like something from a chemist's shelf. I saw him hand it over, his face hard, no trace of the charming groom." A gasp escaped me, my mind reeling. Caleb? But why? And Hannah? Surely she wouldn't. My voice faltered, the image of my sister's trembling hand at the reception flashing before me. Nathan's jaw tightened. "There's more." I overheard Caleb in the kitchen speaking to the waiter. He said, "Make sure it's her glass. No mistakes." "Lila, they meant to poison you." The word poison struck like a blade. I pressed my hands to my face, willing the world to right itself. "No, Nathan, Hannah's my sister. We fought, yes, but this? It's unthinkable." He reached into his jacket, pulling out a folded paper, its edges worn. "This came yesterday from your father's lawyer. I didn't want to burden you before the wedding, but you need to see it now." With shaking hands, I unfolded the letter. My father's familiar scrawl leapt from the page, a codicil to his will. "To my daughter Lila, I leave the entirety of my estate, in gratitude for her unwavering care in my final years. Should she predecease me, the estate passes to charity, not to Hannah." The words blurred as tears welled. I'd nursed father through his illness, adjusted my life to his needs, while Hannah, consumed by her ambitions, rarely visited. But to cut her out entirely? "Why didn't he tell us?" I whispered. Nathan's voice softened. "He'd likely wanted to protect you, but Hannah must have found out. Caleb's been pushing her, Lila. I saw it in his eyes at the rehearsal dinner. A hunger, not love." My mind raced, piecing together fragments. Hannah's distance, Caleb's cryptic words, the vial. "They planned this together," I said, the truth settling like ash. For the money. Nathan nodded grimly. If you died tonight, Hannah would contest the will, claiming it was outdated. With Caleb's influence, she'd likely win. A sob broke free, but anger surged beneath it. We can't let them get away with this. Nathan's hand found mine, steady and warm. We won't. I've already texted a contact at the manor to secure the security footage, but we need to act fast, before they realize we're onto them. The river murmured beyond the car, its secrets hidden in the dark. I wiped my tears, resolve hardening within me. Hannah, my sister, had chosen greed over love, but I would not let her destroy me. The Savannah night pressed close, the river's whisper a faint contrapoint to the storm in my heart. Nathan's car parked in the shadowed lot felt like a fragile sanctuary, its dim interior shielding us from the betrayal that had shattered the Forsyth Manor's glow. My emerald gown, once a symbol of celebration, now clung to me like a shroud, but my resolve burned brighter than my grief. Nathan's eyes, sharp and steady, met mine. Lila, we have the letter, and the footage will show Caleb's actions, but we need more, something undeniable. His voice, honed by years as a detective, carried a quiet ferocity. I nodded, my voice low but firm. What do we do? The question was a lifeline pulling me from the abyss of Hannah's treachery. I could still see her face at the reception, her smile a mask, her eyes flickering with something I'd mistaken for nerves. Nathan leaned forward, his mind already mapping the path ahead. First, we return to the manor. Quietly. The staff will be cleaning up, and the cameras are still rolling. If we can find that vial, or the waiter, he might talk. A chill ran through me. Go back? After they tried to... My words faltered, the word poison too raw to speak again. I know it's dangerous, Nathan said, his hand closing over mine, but if we don't act tonight, they'll cover their tracks. Caleb's cunning. He'll have an alibi by dawn. I swallowed hard, picturing Caleb's polished smile, the way he charmed our mother, our guests, and Hannah, my sister, who'd once braided my hair and shared my secrets. How had she fallen so far? A memory surfaced, unbidden, her bitter words after Father's funeral when she'd learned I'd spent his final months by his side. You always had to be the perfect daughter, she'd spat. Had that resentment festered into this? All right, I said, my voice steadier. Let's go. Nathan started the engine, the car humming to life. As we drove back toward the manor, the city's lights blurred past, each one a reminder of the life I nearly lost. If we find the waiter, Nathan said, don't confront him directly. Let me handle it. He's likely scared, maybe coerced. I nodded, my mind racing. And Hannah? What if she's still there? The thought of facing her sent a pang through me, love and betrayal tangled like thorns. Nathan's jaw tightened. If she's there, we avoid her. This isn't about confrontation yet. It's about evidence. The manor loomed ahead, its windows aglow, though the revelry had faded. We parked in a side lot, slipping through a service entrance Nathan knew from his days working security. The kitchen was a chaos of clattering dishes and wearied staff, but Nathan's presence, calm, authoritative, kept us unnoticed. There, he whispered, nodding toward a young waiter stacking trays. The same nervous tick, the same furtive glance I'd seen at the reception. My heart pounded. As Nathan approached, his voice low and disarming. Hey, can we talk? Just a minute? The waiter froze, his eyes darting. I don't know anything, he stammered, but Nathan's steady gaze held him fast. We saw you with Caleb, Nathan said, his tone gentle but unyielding. Help us, and we'll protect you. The waiter's resolution crumbled, his shoulders sagging. It was just a job, he whispered. Mr. Thornton said it was a prank, but the vials in the trash by the back door. My breath caught. Evidence. Tangible. Damning. But as Nathan moved to retrieve it, a shadow crossed the doorway. Hannah's voice, sharp and cold, cut through the air. Lila, what are you doing here? The kitchen's clatter faded to a distant hum as Hannah's voice sliced through the air, her silhouette framed in the doorway of the Forsyth Manor's service entrance. My heart lurched, caught between the sister I'd loved and the stranger who'd plotted my ruin. Her reception dress was gone, replaced by a sleek black ensemble, but her eyes, those eyes I'd known since childhood, glinted with the cold I couldn't fathom. Nathan stepped forward, his body a shield between us, his voice steady. "Hannah, we're just leaving. No need for a scene." His hand, hidden from her view, signaled me to stay calm, but my pulse roared in my ears. She tilted her head, a smile curling her lips, sharp as a blade. "Leaving? So soon? You didn't even taste the dessert, Lila." Her words dripped with mockery, and the memory of the tampered glass, its amber poison meant for me, flashed like lightning. I forced my voice to hold firm, though my hands trembled. "Why, Hannah? Why would you do this?" The question burst forth, raw and unbidden, years of sisterly love colliding with the truth. Her smile faltered just for a moment, and I glimpsed something. Guilt, perhaps defiance. "Do what?" she said, stepping closer, her heels clicking on the tile. "You always assume the worst, don't you? Perfect Lila, father's favorite." Nathan's hand grazed my arm, a warning to hold back, but the waiter, still hovering near the trays, shifted nervously. His eyes darted to the trash by the back door, where the vial lay hidden. Hannah followed his glance, her expression hardening. "You," she snapped at him, "get back to work." But the waiter, pale and trembling, didn't move. I told them," he stammered, "about the vial. I didn't know it was poison, I swear." Hannah's composure cracked, her face a mask of fury. "You idiot," she hissed, then turned to me, her voice low and venomous. "You think you're so clever, Lila, always one step ahead, always the saint, but you don't know everything." My chest tightened, but I held her gaze. "I know you tried to chill me. For father's money? How could you?" For a heartbeat, silence hung between us, heavy as a Savannah night. Then Hannah laughed, a brittle, hollow sound. "Money? You think this is just about money? You took everything, Lila. Father's love, his trust, his legacy. I was nothing to him because of you." Her words stung, unearthing memories of our childhood, her tantrums when father praised my grades, her silence when I cared for him in his illness. "I never wanted to take anything. I loved you." Nathan's hand tightened on my arm. "Lila, we have what we need. Let's go." He nodded toward the back door, where the vial waited. But Hannah's next words stopped us cold. "Caleb's not here," she said, her voice suddenly calm, almost triumphant. "He's already on his way to the airport. You'll never catch him." My stomach dropped. Caleb, the mastermind, slipping through our grasp. Nathan's jaw clenched, but he kept his focus. "We don't need Caleb yet," he said. "We have you, Hannah." And the cameras saw everything. Her eyes widened, a flicker of fear breaking through her bravado. Before she could respond, Nathan pulled me toward the door, the waiter scrambling to follow. The vial, glinting in the trash, was ours, a key to justice. But the weight of Hannah's betrayal pressed harder still. The Savannah air was thick with the scent of river mud and magnolias as Nathan and I slipped out the Forsyth Manor's back door, the vial, small, amber, and damning, clutched in his hand. The waiter, breathless and pale, trailed behind, his confession a fragile thread in the tapestry of Hannah's betrayal. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from the raw ache of my sister's words. "You took everything." They echoed like a verdict, though I'd only ever given my time, my love, my life to our father, to her. Nathan's voice cut through my thoughts, urgent but calm. "Lila, we need to get this to my old precinct contact. The footage and the vial will nail her." His detective's mind was already weaving the case, but his eyes flicked to me, searching for the strength I barely felt. I nodded, clutching the vial's cold glass. And Caleb? She said he's gone. The thought of him escaping, his charm, a mask for malice, twisted my gut. Nathan's jaw tightened as we reached the car, the lot shadowed and silent. He's not out of reach. My contact can alert the airport. But Hannah's the key now. She's here and she's cracking. We slid into the car, the waiter hesitating before climbing in the back. I didn't know, he mumbled, his voice small. Thornton said it was a sedative, just to make her sick. I needed the money. I turned to him, my voice sharp despite my exhaustion. You almost killed me. Did that not cross your mind? He shrank back, eyes wet. I'm sorry. I'll tell the police everything. Nathan started the engine, his focus unwavering. You will, and you'll testify if it comes to that. The car hummed to life, pulling us into the night, but my mind lingered on Hannah's face, her fury, her fleeting guilt. Could I have seen her pain sooner, bridge the chasm between us? As we drove toward the precinct, Nathan's phone buzzed. He answered, his voice low, and I caught fragments, security footage secured, Caleb's car spotted at the airport. My pulse quickened. They're closing in, Nathan said, hanging up. But there's more. The cameras caught Hannah handing Caleb the vial before the reception. It's airtight. Relief battled with sorrow. She planned it with him, I whispered. My own sister. Nathan's hand found mine, warm and steady. She made her choice, Lila. But you're not alone. You have me, your mother, your friends. The precinct loomed ahead, its light stark against the dark. As we parked, a new fear gripped me, not of Hannah, but of the truth's cost. Our mother, already fragile since father's death, would break under this. And I, who'd loved Hannah through every storm, would carry her betrayal forever. Inside, the officer took the vial and the waiter's statement, his face grim. We've got units at the airport, he said. Thornton won't get far. But as Nathan guided me to a bench, my thoughts drifted to the manor, to the moment Hannah's mask had slipped. Had she hesitated, even for a second, before choosing this path? I wanted to believe she had, that some part of her still loved me. The officer returned, his voice brisk. Mrs. Grayson, we need your statement. And there's something else. Your sister's at the station. She turned herself in. The precinct's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across the linoleum, their cold glare a stark contrast to the Forsyth Manor's warm glow mere hours ago. I sat on a worn bench. Nathan's arm was steady anchor as the officer's words echoed in my mind. Hannah turned herself in. My sister, the architect of my near death, now waited behind a door, her motives and remorse, if any, still a mystery. The vial, now in evidence, and the waiter's trembling testimony had tightened the noose, but it was Hannah's surrender that cut deepest. Nathan's voice, low and steady, broke the silence. Lila, you don't have to see her. Your statement's enough for now. His eyes, ever vigilant, searched mine, offering strength where mine wavered. But I shook my head, a fire kindling within. I need to know why, not just for me, but for us, for the years we shared. The memory of Hannah's laughter, her childhood pranks clashed with her venomous words in the kitchen. I needed to face her, to unravel the truth. The officer led us to a small room, its gray walls and one-way glass exuding a sterile chill. Hannah sat at a metal table, her black dress rumpled, her hands cuffed. Her face, once radiant at the altar, was pale, her eyes red-rimmed but defiant. When she saw me, her lips parted but no words came. I sat across from her, Nathan standing by the door, his presence a silent vow of protection. Hannah, I began, my voice steady despite the storm within. Why did you do it? Was it really just the money? Her gaze flickered, a shadow of the sister I'd known passing over her face. You think it's that simple? She said, her voice hoarse, laced with bitterness. You were always Father's light, Lila, his pride. I was the afterthought, the one who could never measure up. My chest tightened, memories of Father's uneven praise flooding back, his smiles for my grades, his silence for Hannah's art. I never asked for that, I said. I loved you. I wanted us to be equals. She laughed, a brittle sound. Equals? You got everything. His time, his trust, his estate. Caleb saw it too. He said we could start over, build something grand, but only if... Her voice broke and she looked away. Only if I was gone, I finished, the words ash in my mouth. You let him twist you, Hannah. That vial wasn't a prank. Her eyes met mine, glistening with tears. I didn't want you dead, she whispered. Caleb said it would just make you sick, enough to contest the will. But when I saw you leave, I knew he'd lied. I couldn't stop him. The confession hung between us, fragile and sharp. You could have warned me, I said, my voice trembling. You chose him over me. Hannah's shoulders slumped, her defiance crumbling. I know. That's why I'm here. I couldn't run, not after seeing your face. Nathan stepped closer, his voice firm. Lila, she said enough. The police have her statement. But I held Hannah's gaze, searching for the sister I'd lost. I'll forgive you someday, I said, my heart heavy, but not today. As we left the room, her sobs followed, a requiem for the bond we'd buried. Outside, the night waited, and with Nathan by my side, I faced it, wounded but unbroken. The Savannah dawn broke in hues of amber and gray, its light filtering through the precinct's narrow windows as Nathan and I stepped into the cool morning air. Hannah's confession, raw and jagged, lingered in my heart, but the shadow of Caleb Thornton loomed larger still, a serpent who'd slithered from our grasp, his flight to the airport a calculated escape. The vial, Hannah's surrender, and the manor's footage had secured her fate, but Caleb, the true architect of this treachery, remained free. Nathan's hand rested on my shoulder, his detective's resolve unshaken. Lila, my contact says they've got a lead on Caleb. His car was spotted at a private airstrip, not the main airport. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of urgency. I nodded, my exhaustion giving way to a burning need for justice. He can't get away, Nathan, not after what he did to Hannah, to us. Her tearful admission, her claim that Caleb had deceived her, fueled my resolve. My sister had fallen, but Caleb had pushed her. We climbed into the car, the precinct fading behind us as Nathan dialed his contact, a gruff-voiced officer named Malone. He's at a hangar on the east side, small plane, ready to take off. We're mobilizing, but you're closer. Can you stall him? Nathan's jaw tightened. We'll try. Send backup fast. He hung up, his gaze meeting mine. Lila, this could be dangerous. You can stay. No, I cut in, my voice firm. I'm seeing this through. The image of Caleb's cold smile at the reception, his hand passing the vial, steeled my nerve. I was no bystander in my own story. The airstrip was a desolate stretch of cracked pavement and rusted hangars, the hum of a plane's engine cutting through the morning mist. Nathan parked at a distance, his hand on the glove box where he kept his old service pistol, a relic from his detective days, carried for emergencies. Stay behind me, he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. We crept toward the hangar, the propellers spinning, a sleek figure, Caleb, handing a bag to a pilot. His suit was disheveled, his charm replaced by a predator's focus. Nathan signaled for me to stay low, but Caleb's head snapped up, his eyes locking on us. Grayson, he shouted, his voice carrying over the engine's roar. You're persistent. I'll give you that. He drew a handgun, its glint catching the dawn light, and my breath caught.
Nathan raised his own weapon, his stance calm but unyielding. "Drop it, Thornton. You're done." Caleb's laugh was sharp, desperate. "Done? I'm just getting started. Hannah was the weak link, but I don't need her." He edged toward the plane, the pilot frozen in the cockpit. My heart pounded, but I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the tension. "You used her, Caleb. You turned my sister into a monster. For what? Money?" His eyes narrowed, a flicker of rage breaking his composure. "You don't get it, Lila. It's power. Your father's estate was my ticket." Sirens wailed in the distance, Malone's backup closing in. Caleb's grip on the gun wavered, and Nathan seized the moment, lunging forward. The shot rang out, deafening, but Nathan tackled him to the ground, the gun skidding across the pavement. I ran to them, my pulse racing as Nathan cuffed Caleb with a zip tie from his pocket. "It's over," he said, his breath ragged. As the police swarmed the scene, I looked at Caleb, his defiance crumbling. The dawn rose higher, and with it, a fragile hope that justice, at last, would hold. The Savannah sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the precinct lot where Nathan and I stood, the chaos of Caleb's capture still echoing in my veins. His arrest at the airstrip, the glint of his gun, Nathan's swift tackle, all felt like fragments of a fevered dream. Yet the truth, cold and unyielding, anchored me. Caleb was in custody, his plot exposed, and Hannah, my sister, awaited her reckoning. But the victory tasted of ash, for the family I'd cherished lay in ruins. Nathan's hand brushed mine, his voice gentle but firm. "Lila, Malone says the footage and vial are enough to convict them both. Caleb's talking, trying to shift blame, but it won't hold." His eyes, weary from the night's ordeal, held a quiet pride. I nodded, my throat tight. "And Hannah, what happens to her now? Her confession, her claim that Caleb had misled her, gnawed at me. Had she been a pawn or a willing partner in his scheme?" The question burned, unanswered. Malone approached, his face grim. "Mrs. Grayson, your sister's lawyer wants a plea deal. She's offering full cooperation against Thornton. You should know. She asked to see you again." My heart stuttered.
The memory of Hannah's tear-streaked face, her broken admission in the interrogation room, surged back. I wanted to refuse, to shield myself from further pain, but a deeper need, to understand, to salvage some fragment of our bond, pushed me forward. "I'll see her," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Nathan squeezed my hand. "I'll be right outside." The same gray room awaited, its darkness a mirror to my turmoil. Hannah sat, uncuffed now, her eyes hollow but searching. She rose as I entered, her voice barely a whisper. "Lila, I didn't think you'd come." I sat, keeping the table between us, my hands clasped to hide their tremble. "I needed to hear it from you, Hannah, not through lawyers. Why did you let him do this?" She swallowed, her gaze dropping. "Caleb, he made it sound so easy. A small dose, he said, just to scare you, to make you step back from the estate. I was angry at father, at you, for years of feeling invisible." Her voice cracked. "But when I saw you leave the reception, I knew he'd gone too far. I couldn't follow him." Her words pierced me, love and betrayal entwined. "I could have come to you," I said, tears brimming. "We could have faced father's will together." "I know," she whispered, a tear falling. "I was weak, Lila. I let him feed my resentment. But I never wanted you gone." Silence fell, heavy with the weight of lost years. I wanted to hate her, but pity stirred instead, for the sister who'd let envy consume her, for the family we'd never reclaim. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said, my voice soft, "but I'll try, in time." She nodded, her face crumpling. That's more than I deserve. As I left the room, Nathan waited, his presence a balm. Outside, our mother's car pulled up, her face pale but resolute. She'd heard the truth and chosen me, her embrace a promise of healing. The road ahead was long, but with Nathan and those who loved me, I'd walk it, carrying both sorrow and strength. The Savannah morning unfurled in soft pinks, its light filtering through the kitchen window where I stood, a mug of coffee warming my hands. The precinct's cold walls, Hannah's broken confession, and Caleb's desperate flight felt like shadows from a fading nightmare. Yet their weight lingered, heavy, as the river's current beyond our quiet home. Nathan moved beside me, his presence a steady pulse in the chaos of my heart. Malone called. Caleb's plea deal fell through. He's facing trial, and Hannah's testimony will seal it. Relief surged, sharp and fleeting. But a new knot tightened within me. Trial, I murmured, setting the mug down. It means reliving it all. Every detail, every betrayal. He nodded, his eyes tracing my face. You're stronger than you know, Lila, but you don't have to face it alone. His words, simple yet fierce, stirred a warmth I clung to. Yet the thought of courtrooms, of Hannah's face across a stand, churned my stomach. I stepped to the window, the city awaking beyond the glass. A letter lay on the counter, unopened, from our mother. She'd written after visiting Hannah, her words likely heavy with guilt for missing the signs of my sister's descent. I hadn't the heart to read it yet. Forgiveness for Hannah was a distant star, but for Mother, it felt closer, tangled in shared grief. Lila, Nathan said, his hand grazing my shoulder. There's something else. The estate lawyer found a second codicil. My breath caught. The word codicil, a ghost of Father's will. It's small, but it's yours. A trust for a community center, in your name. A trust? I turned, my mind racing. Father's love, his belief in me, had sparked this storm. Yet here was a gift, pure and untainted. He wanted me to build something, I whispered, tears pricking. Not just keep it. But the knot tightened again. Hannah's resentment had grown from Father's choices. Would this trust fuel her bitterness further? I pushed the thought aside, resolve hardening. I'll honor it. A center for kids, for families. Something good from all this pain. Nathan smiled, a rare softness breaking his guarded demeanor. That's my Lila. But his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Malone's voice crackled through. Lila's name was on a burner phone Caleb had. He was planning more, maybe a second attempt. My knees buckled, the room spinning. Nathan caught me, his arms a fortress. He's locked up, he said fiercely. He can't touch you. The fear ebbed, replaced with a fire I hadn't known I possessed. Caleb's shadow would not haunt me. I'd build that center, live my life, love those who loved me. Hannah's choices, Caleb's malice, they'd wounded me, but I'd rise, scarred yet whole. Outside, Savannah stirred, its promise of new days beckoning. I took Nathan's hand, my heart steady. I said, let's start today, and we stepped into the light. Together. If this story gripped you, hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tales of heart and mystery. Your support keeps these stories alive.